What's up, everybody? We're here in Las Vegas at When We Were Young Fest, hanging out with Max from Set It Off. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Of course, man. Happy to be here.
I've known you for a long time, and I've always watched what you guys do, and your band has such a rad style. You've got such an aesthetic, and obviously, like the way you guys look and present yourselves and your sound, everything creatively that I've loved as a musician and as a fan of music for so many years. So it's rad to just sit down and talk with you. Let's start from the beginning. Like, what inspired you or motivated you to pick up the drumsticks, and what age was that?
You know, it's funny, especially being at this festival. The reason I started playing, or the first song I heard that ever got me into this, was I was driving. I was carpooling with my friend in third grade. Parents were driving, and a song came on the radio, "What's My Age Again" by Blink-182.
Sick.
And I had never heard anything like it. You know, the attitude, how fast it was, how catchy it was, and I was entranced. I remember the entire day I couldn't stop thinking about that song. So I went home, I asked my sister if she had heard of this band, Blink-182. She had their CD, I stole her CD, and I wore it out. I mean, I played that thing nonstop all the time, and I noticed that it was the drums specifically that just drew me in. And I asked my dad, hey, I want to do this, I want to try this. And I didn't know this at the time, but I had a lot of dexterity issues growing up. Trouble like throwing balls, hand-eye coordination things, on top of ADHD. So my dad's thought was, I don't know if he's going to be able to do this, but at the very least, it will give him a place to put his energy, because I was bouncing off the walls back then. Very hyperactive, and got me a kit, and I thank him every day because he allowed me to be very loud and very bad in the house all the time.
That's amazing.
A lot of patience, so I thank him a lot, but it was that moment and that experience that really, really got me into it.
Incredible, dude. And that's so many, like literally what we were just talking about of our first commercial we ever shot. Like, that is it, man.
Yeah.
The support from a parent or a guardian or a mentor or teacher, like, I can't say that enough how important that is. And so for people out there, parents or anybody that is willing to lend a hand and support to allow a young person that wants to be a creative and just express themselves to just be able to do that. And especially with drums, they're not soft and quiet, they're loud.
Exactly.
So that's so sick of your dad to do that.
Yeah.
Have you, in your career, you've been doing this for a bit, man, like you guys have been in the scene for a while and still very relevant and still working and feeling creative, right? Like, have you had any experiences like that where kids that you've met or gotten a DM from that say to you like, yo, like, you're drumming in your band, and what does that feel like? 'Cause I'm sure that happens.
It's such a surreal experience, and it's happened, throughout the course of our career a bunch of times, which I'm very thankful for. And every time it's the same thing. I can't believe that this is happening. It takes me back to when I was that kid.
Yeah.
Seeing those bands and wanting to be like them and wanting to do what they're doing. And so I'm so excited to give out advice and tell them the things that I've learned. It's like, start with a practice pad and learn your rudiments. It sucks, but it'll make you better, things like that. And just seeing how excited they get. And then when I see them later, hearing their progress and just seeing the joy that they get from that, and remembering the joy that I had first starting out and that I still have. It's very cool to experience that with them.
That's amazing. And that's the thing too, man. Like, I feel so grateful to be in this industry where when I was a kid, it seems from the crowd watching a band, it's like another world, right? And when you get to this side of it, it's like, this is another world, yes, but still we're just people like you, and you can also carve your own path to get here. What words of wisdom would you have for creatives, musicians, somebody that might even want to start their own business or a brand to just start? Like, how did you guys break into the scene and like get here?
I think it's persistence, and obviously, hard work. Like, you can practice all the time. And there are musicians out there that are so unbelievably talented, some of those talented musicians in the world, and for whatever reason, they never reach those heights. There's so much luck and good timing and all of those things involved, but the biggest thing for us was just being persistent. We've been doing this since 2008. I joined in 2010, and I like to say that we made every mistake we possibly could along the way. There are things that we look back, we could have skipped all these steps if we had just known this or known that. And there were so many times in our career that I think a lot of other people would have called it quits. They would have said, this is too hard, or we're not seeing enough progress, and just given up. And I think the fact that we had our core group of people that were with us working together on it, push through, and this year has been the most successful we've had, which we're very, very fortunate for. But I think finding those people that share that vision with you and are that committed to it, having that group, that support group, whether it's your friends, your family, whoever it is so helpful. And then also the thought of try it. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to do this, it's too scary. But I'd rather do it and fail than live with regrets.
Dude, totally. That's, as I talk to people and hear their stories, I've been chatting with people that have motivated me and inspired me, that have been through the scene and asking these questions. That is the common thread, is persistence, surrounding yourself with a group of creative people that can also think like you to a degree, because you need to get along obviously and have a similar interest, but also push you outside your comfort zone and go, that's a cool idea, but what about this?
Definitely.
And it's not a challenge. It's an addition to the recipe that might work, it might not. And you're right, there are people that give up, and you can't look at those things as failures when they don't work. It's a building block to get to that point. And I'm a firm believer, especially now, you guys have been at it since 2008, and even before that, you were building up your chops to get into the band.
Yep.
I look back on those things now, and it's like all those things that I thought were a mistake, I'm glad they happened, because now I know when I can see it coming now. I'm not going to fall for that again. I know what to do because I already learned from that 2 or 3 times maybe.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's incredible advice. I appreciate you saying that.
I think that I can't remember what the phrase is, but it's something like luck is preparation and opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think that those failures count as preparation.
Absolutely.
Now the next time that happens, you know what to do and what not to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's your creative process like for you as a drummer, and like when you're writing a new record, or even the aesthetic of like, designing a new drum set, or what's the album going to look like? What's the creative process? And every creative, I feel, has those creative blocks where you're in a rut and you're just like, nothing I do is good enough, or you set the expectation and you're like, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
What do you do when you hit those roadblocks and you feel like you're in that rut?
Well, it's interesting. You were just mentioning that, when you're with a group of people, you can kind of delegate. Some people are good at certain things and have a different perspective. So what I found, and it's been such a blast for me to do that I didn't know until I joined the band, was that I love the visual aspect of bands. The videos and the photos and how it looks and feels, kind of the brand behind it. And so I was kind of tasked with doing that, which is, on top of being able to play music, is just another creative outlet for me, which is wonderful. As far as roadblocks, the tough thing about being trying to make creative or creative things or make art is you can't just turn it on. There are certain days when your brain just won't do it.
Yeah.
And I think allowing yourself the time to let it come naturally, if you have that time available to you, is huge, because the more you try and push it, you're just going to burn yourself out.
Yeah.
And then the idea that you have is, it's either going to be nothing or it's going to be something you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
It's always kind of aha moments where I am watching something or out somewhere, something unrelated to music, that I see something that goes like, that could be it.
Yeah.
So that's another one, looking at other art, and maybe not other, if you're in music, maybe not other bands, but you're at an art installation somewhere else, or you're watching a movie and taking inspiration from that. Like, I know there's so many bands, like Ice Nine Kills, for example, great example.
Yeah.
So much inspiration they get is from movies.
Exactly.
And so taking things you like and putting it all together.
Yep.
I think that's the best advice I can give. Is like, sometimes you just gotta let it happen naturally, and if it's you feel like you're working too hard and nothing's coming out, maybe you need to look at it from a different angle, or maybe it's just not the right fit.
Yeah, exactly. Take a break, take a breather, and just let it sit for a minute, and the inspiration will strike at the right time.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to sit and talk with me.
Of course, it's a blast.
You've inspired a lot of kids, and I've loved watching you as a drummer and watching your band over the years, and thank you so much, man.
Of course, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.